Join the Community Wine and Spirits monthly wine club, the Mutual Satisfaction Society. You'll receive 3 carefully selected bottles every month, complete with tasting notes and detailed information on each wine, all for $90. Join in the next 24 hours and get 20% off your first shipment. Want fancier wine? We got you. Join the Mutual Satisfaction Society Plus for extra satisfaction. $150 will get you 3 very special bottles. Let us take the trouble out of selecting great wines that you will love. Your first shipment is 20% off just for listening to View the Right Thing. Join the community today at www.communitywineandspirits.com or DM us at CommunityWS.
It's shortly after the turn of the 20th century. The American Wild West is coming to an end. The lawlessness of the frontier is slipping away, and those who took advantage of it find the law and civilization rapidly closing in on them. One group of outlaws sees the writing on the wall that their time is coming to an end, and the best way to secure their future is with one last big score. Wes and Alexis stand their ground against the violence of director Sam Peckinpah's 1969 masterpiece, The Wild Bunch, on View the Right Thing.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Hey, welcome to another episode of View the Right Thing. I'm Wes.
And I'm Alexis.
Hi, Alexis. How you doing?
Hi, Wes. I'm pretty good. How are you?
Doing all right. I'm doing all right. Yeah. Just,
awesome.
You know,
great.
Watching movies, hanging out with a friend, talking movies.
Talking movies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Life is weird. Okay. So, what's going on in your world?
Lots of sewing.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
That's not even award season.
I know. People are... This is just for regular peeps with their clothes.
Is it like hot weather clothes, or are people getting ready for the fall? Or I say fall like that's going to make a difference in California.
That doesn't make a huge difference in Southern California.
People go places.
Uh-huh. Well, so it's a mixture of summer clothing, and some of my clients are musicians and like performers, and so it's their fun outfits that they wear while they perform.
Rocking out on stage.
Yeah. Rocking out on stage.
Can you say, do you have any like known performers that you can say who they are, or no?
Well, I never had to sign an NDA or anything. So one of them is Asia from Nico Case.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like,
she's lovely.
Tell me, Rod Stewart's...
Wait, Nico Case. Nico Vega. Nico Vega. Very different.
Nico Case is a whole separate artist.
Different.
That's like a band, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So Nico Vega. She's actually the ex-wife of the lead singer from Imagine Dragons.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yep. She's cool.
Yeah.
There are some other people as well.
Let me ask you, what does that mean, Imagine Dragons?
What?
What does it mean?
To imagine dragons?
Is it like imagine dragons, or imagine dragons? Like are you being told to imagine dragons, or is someone sort of like exclaiming about the idea of dragons?
That is a great question. Unfortunately, I was not.
Or is it just a noun, like sort of like a noun, like they are imaginary dragons. They are imagined dragons.
Imagine dragons.
So is it like
poor grammar?
Fake dragons, or
imagine dragons,
or like a suggestion to imagine them?
Maybe it's just poor grammar.
Okay.
Like, I'm just speculating, obviously, but they're like, hey, kid, what do you think we should name our band? Imagine Dragons. Oh, great. That no one has that sort of name.
I mean, all dragons are imagined.
Are they?
I mean, come on.
How do we know?
Have you seen one?
Have you seen the moon in real life?
Yeah, I can see it in the sky.
Yeah, but have you been there?
I don't have to be somewhere to see it. I can see Disneyland from the freeway without going. Although I've been to Disneyland. But I have seen dragons in my imagination.
Yes.
Imagine.
Because you get to imagine dragons.
They are imagined dragons.
Mhm.
I feel like we are no closer to an answer.
I don't know. Someone who knows. Tell us.
Yeah.
Let us know.
Because I'm not going to research it. I'm not Googling it.
No.
You tell me, or I'll never know. It's the hill I'm dying on. Deal with it.
Cool.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right.
You know, it's the top of our show. So if you're listening to this, make sure that you like, rate, comment, subscribe,
review it. Yes.
Review it.
There's no good way to ask that question, but you understand what we're asking for.
Yeah.
You know what we mean.
Follow us. You'll get to hear so much more.
Check out our Patreon.
Mm-hmm.
Got some great patrons there.
Yep. And you can either pay to be a Patreon or you don't have to. And you can just hang out and get great emails.
Yeah, just be free.
Mm-hmm.
Just be free. We're happy with that.
Yeah.
We love the other people more than you, but no, we love everyone mostly equally.
Mostly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, the people that pay get some benefits out of it. They get a shout out once a month. They get
sometimes they get to watch movies with us.
Yeah, some of them get to watch movies with us, which is pretty cool. Yeah, very cool. And it's fun because we do the movie. We submit a poll, and so the people that are going to watch with us get to decide from the poll. But there's a theme. Like in August, it was I forgot what I called it. It was like like a beat the heat. It was something heat. Pardon me, heat related.
Yeah.
And the idea was it was hot guys doing hot guy things.
Yes.
So it featured the likes of Henry Cavill, Ryan Gosling, and so on.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah. So who knows what the next thing is going to be. I mean, I know.
Yes.
But you don't.
You don't know.
Sucker.
Trailers? Seen any good trailers?
I seen any good trailers?
Maybe let's just trailers.
I saw the trailer for Saturday Night.
Yeah.
I watched that with you.
Yeah.
Not the movie, the trailer.
Yes.
That looks good. I'm excited. Good cast. It's about Saturday Night Live.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
I got most excited about the guy who is playing Jim Henson.
Yeah.
Also, Jim Henson was part of Saturday Night Live?
Yeah, you didn't see the Muppets on Saturday Night Live?
Oh.
They're like adult Muppets. They're like little hell beasts that are on like a desolate planet. It looks very post-apocalyptic, and they're like more adult themed.
Cool.
The stuff they talk about and stuff.
Nice. So more along the lines of the Muppet Show, the nighttime Muppet Show.
Muppets After Dark.
No, they used to have like
Muppets Tonight with
yes.
No, that's the Muppet Show.
Yeah.
No, that still was for families. This was not
okay.
for families so much.
Even more adult.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which they do in real life to this day.
Yes.
They do
Muppet
an
Up.
adult. Yeah.
I've seen Muppet Up.
Oh, have you?
It's hilarious.
It's at the studio, right? The Muppet Studio?
No, not
I
necessarily.
think it is now.
Oh,
Yeah.
I saw it in Pasadena.
Oh, yeah. I think when you do it now, you go to Jim Henson Studios to do it. I know. Look, you were talking to a Muppet guy, so I understand. Did you not know that about me?
No. How did we not know this?
I don't know. I mean, I own the show. The old bucket was the Muppet bucket.
What?
Yeah,
Really?
the bucket that Steve and I pulled out of. Someone never listened to our show. The old bucket that we pulled movies out of, that Steve and I did, when it was the Muppet bucket.
Oh my gosh.
Which the Muppet bucket came from when I went to the premiere of the Muppets with Jason Segel and Amy Adams.
Wow.
In Hollywood. We walked the green carpet.
Oh my God. I'm a big Henson fan.
Yeah.
Like huge. I was raised on Fraggle Rock.
Oh, yeah, Fraggleware.
And I own 4 of the 5 seasons on it on DVD.
Get the rest of it. Yeah, get that Cantus Fraggle in your life.
He's my favorite.
We know who he's based on, right?
Jim Henson.
Yeah, he's based on, he's Jim Henson's avatar, because that's what he was like.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love Cantus.
Yeah, Cantus.
My favorite with that special flute.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of the Trash Heap as well. Welcome to Muppet Talk.
Marjorie.
Yeah.
Marjorie.
So you want to hear about the celebrities we met at?
Sure.
Because we got to go to the party after the movie. So we sat with OK Go during the movie.
No way.
Yeah. And up in the balcony. And it was pretty cool. They had Statler and Waldorf sort of introduce the movie from the wings. And then afterwards at the thing, who did we meet? Jason Segel, Amy Adams. I got photos with them. Amy Adams so tiny. Kristen Schaal, Alexis Denisov.
Ooh.
Who's that guy that people really like? The singer. He was on Glee.
That's
Darren Criss.
Oh.
Darren Criss, really, really nice guy. One of my favorite people I met there. Very, very excited because he really took the time to just chat.
Darren?
No. Oh. Well, he did too, but oh my God. Brett from Flight of the Conchords.
Brett.
Yeah, so he was really, really great, and he just wanted to talk music, and
that is so cool.
Yeah. It was a fun. I went to the next Muppet premiere as well, by the way.
Wow.
Yeah, I met Ray Liotta. Well, I walked next to Ray Liotta and talked to him, and he ignored me. But I met Ricky Gervais and Tina Fey, and by far my favorite of that one was Terry Crews.
Oh,
so sweet. We talked Marvel, and
my God,
he's a great guy.
I've heard that he's a really kind person.
Yeah, he makes you feel like, I mean, he pays attention to you, but he makes you feel like he's paying attention to you. You know, some people are talking to you, but you don't really feel like they're there.
Right.
Yeah.
They're just saying words at you.
Yeah.
And not really engaging.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I'm a Muppet guy. A real Muppet guy.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
We'll have to watch some Muppet things.
Yeah. I'll have to dig out some of I have a limited edition Jim Henson action figure somewhere around here.
Oh my God.
I got a Jim Henson pop over there with the directors.
What?
On my director's
section. God. I'm going to have to go over there and look when we're done recording.
Yeah. Yeah. Muppet Town.
Welcome to Henson Talk.
Do you know what's in our bucket? The original Muppet movie. It's in there.
With the fork in the road?
With the fork in the road. Moving right. So let's move right along and talk about the movie that we're actually here to talk about.
Yes. The movie that we actually watched today is The Wild Bunch.
Yeah.
And the little snippet.
It's so weird to go over Muppets to this.
I know. We're just moving right along.
Yeah.
An aging group of outlaws look for one last big score as the traditional American West is disappearing around them.
Yeah, that's true.
Period.
Yeah. End of
sentence.
So this is an intense movie.
Yeah.
I find.
Yeah.
I think it is. It's sometimes has been compared along the lines in modern day, been compared with movies like Pulp Fiction, as far as importance and sort of its desire to not flinch from violence.
Yeah, it really goes for it.
And it was nominated for 2 Oscars.
Oh.
Writing and score. Did not win either of them.
Huh.
It's ranked number 6 on American Film Institute's list of 10 greatest films in the genre Western.
Okay.
It is also number 79 on their greatest of all time, their top 100 list.
Wow.
So the name, The Wild Bunch, it was actually applied to a group of outlaws in Oklahoma and the Indian Territories headed by a guy named Bill Doolin. And every member of that gang died horrifically violent deaths.
What a surprise.
Later on, the Wild Bunch was applied by the press to the Hole in the Wall gang, Butch Cassidy.
Oh.
Yeah.
So there were multiple Wild Bunches?
Yeah, well, I think it was sort of like, yes, it was applied as a term for a gang of vicious outlaws.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I just thought that was interesting, especially because we've done Cat Ballou, which covered that. This movie was partially inspired by another previous film that we did. The previous film, Bonnie and Clyde.
Bonnie and Clyde?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was sort of the Bonnie and Clyde was an escalation in violence in cinema. And so Sam Peckinpah, the director of this, was inspired to sort of
be more violent.
But there was also a commentary about people. There's an escalation of the Vietnam War, and people were growing really, really frustrated with how America was involved with that. And Peckinpah also, who is a Western guy, like he created The Rifleman and wrote that and did a bunch of other Westerns prior to this. And he was also a little frustrated with sort of how sanitized our view of what the West was like and how he portrayed that. And so he wanted to make a movie that was like, incredibly violent and sort of, vicious and more about the type of people who actually were trying to survive the era of the West.
Yeah.
So this movie fired so many blanks. There's a lot of gunfire in this movie.
Yeah. It's kind of a miracle that did people actually get injured?
There were 2 injuries on the set, but I think one was like somebody got burned from, not like badly burned. I think it was like, maybe it might have been the machine gun. Somebody's arm like kind of brushed up against it. And I think after it had been fired, and it burned their arm a little bit. And I think somebody maybe
firing blanks. Were they actually shooting bullets out of the machine gun?
No, but blanks are technically bullets.
Oh,
I mean, well, I don't know. I guess that's the question: is ammunition? If they're firing ammunition, they're not necessarily firing bullets. So
okay,
they're firing wads.
Gotcha.
And depending on how you pack that, it can be a different degree of power. The muzzle flash, the sound, all of that changes based off of how, it's a quarter wad or a full wad or whatever.
Okay.
All the movies that I've worked on, it's always been like quarter wads because it's, how much damage do you want to do to people's ears and, how much of a ruckus and how risky is it, and all of those things are factors. Back in the day, 1969, they probably cared a lot less about that stuff. I mean, even as recently as something like Die Hard, which was the 80s, Bruce Willis lost the hearing out of one of his ears almost completely from working on Die Hard. So,
wow.
Even then they were pretty fast and loose with safety on stuff like that. So, supposedly, so this movie takes place around 1910, 1911. It's a Mexican Revolution. And supposedly more rounds were fired in this than the entire Mexican Revolution. Supposedly 90,000 rounds of ammunition were fired on this film.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's an exceptional amount.
Yeah, see, it's sort of when they're like, oh yeah, more rounds than the Mexican Revolution. You're like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, but how long was the Mexican Revolution?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Expose me for not knowing my history.
Because I'm sure. Do you know how long it took to film this?
About 80 days, roughly.
Okay.
I do know that it was an arduous process.
Yeah.
Sam Peckinpah was maybe not the nicest person, but did it intentionally, and so I think it was also hard on him because he knew he was doing stuff intentionally to motivate actors. People of that time did stuff like that. Hitchcock famously, slapped people. Same with Kubrick. Kubrick slapped Shelley Duvall on the set of The Shining to get a reaction out of her. And
that shit wouldn't fly now.
no.
Oh my God.
Now.
A lot of the shit in this movie wouldn't fly now.
No. Yeah, I agree.
Well.
But yeah, so I know Peckinpah, like, they finished shooting, started to do their little rap party, and he just wandered off by himself and just broke down crying. I think this was just a really hard, arduous thing for everybody.
Yeah.
But yeah. I'll get back to my notes here. So speaking of the gunfire, one of the goals that he had was that he wanted to give the audience the feeling of what it was like to gun somebody down. He wanted it to be like really like shocking.
Yeah.
Which at this time period, 1969, that's a big ask. There's while this movie was being filmed, the decency code still existed for film. So, it used to be things like, you couldn't show a toilet flush, or, you couldn't show, interracial couples kissing, or you couldn't show a gun being fired. And which this era is when we started seeing filmmakers sort of rebel against it. Hitchcock did that a little bit. So he famously showed the first toilet flush in the movie Psycho. So, so you started to see in the 60s, directors were sort of rebelling against the code. Yeah,
there were a lot of things shown that I'm sure wouldn't have.
Oh yeah, actually shown. Well, it was kind of like we talked about Bonnie and Clyde. Showing somebody a gun firing and hitting somebody in the same shot was like a really big deal. So, yeah, again, this is the sort of the beginning of things, and this is one of those movies that's sort of credited with helping kind of solidify the rating system. The rating system was already in process. But, and as a matter of fact, they threatened to give this an X rating because of how violent it was.
Oh, I thought you were going to say because of the topless females.
Nope. No.
Wow.
Oh, we'll cover that in a minute. But, okay. No, yeah, there's the violence. And one of the things that the I don't know what you would call them. Now we would call them the MPAA, but the group making those decisions then, I don't think we're the MPAA. The big thing that they objected to was Angel having his throat cut. That was like the moment too far.
I knew that was going to happen.
Yeah, and I think they toned down, like they showed a little bit of blood, but they didn't show much of it. And I think it was like, I think had he had his way, it would have been shooting at the guy, Yeah. But so again, the gunfire thing and him wanting people to sort of like understand what it was like to gun someone down. He was really just frustrated with how toned down everything was, and just like how the guns just didn't look, they didn't firing the blanks didn't look like the way he wanted them to look.
Yeah.
So, I guess he lost his cool one day, and he grabbed a real revolver that was full of live rounds and just emptied the gun on a wall. Just grabbed it and screaming at everybody and just bam, 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 bam. And was like, that's what I want. And so that's what they went for after that. Again, this is, yeah. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Warner Brothers also used the same sound effects for every gun in every movie up to this point. So it was like they had, their little library, and it was just the same sound. Every gun made the same sound, and he was like, Peckinpah was like, nope. I want new recordings. I want to know what the different guns sound like.
Yeah.
And so this is the first movie to really kind of do that. Again, kind of going back to Sam Peckinpah being a jerk. He fired 22 cast members during the course of the shoot.
Wow.
He had I have a quote here from one of the producers. Sam had no compassion for a guy with a job who had a family at home who makes a mistake. That wasn't his concern. Sam had no tolerance for that. He had no understanding of a mistake that the guy made that is correctable. He was volatile, and if a guy committed a mistake on set or elsewhere, he was ready to jump on him. Yeah. early in the shoot, William Holden threatened to walk off the set.
Yeah.
Sam Peckinpah used to just abuse the cast and crew verbally in front of him. And that was like sort of his thing, was like, William Holden was like, don't, this is not okay.
Yeah.
Don't do this in front of me. And let's see here. Sorry, I'm just going through my notes here. Oh, Robert Ryan. He threatened to fight Sam Peckinpah.
Which one is Robert Ryan?
He played the guy who's hunting them.
Okay, the other bad guy.
Not Dixon. Thornton.
Okay.
His first name starts with a D. That's why I had. So Thornton. Sam Peckinpah made him spend 10 days in costume and makeup, and he didn't film any scenes. Made him show up, get in costume, get in makeup, wait around, don't shoot, and just didn't shoot any scenes with him for 10 days. So he's just like got fed up with Peckinpah and was like, oh,
he was still getting paid.
Yeah, I think it's I get it. I get what you're saying, but it's just,
It's very frustrating. I get that.
Yeah, and I think Robert Kennedy was running for office at the time, and so Ryan was a big Kennedy supporter and was trying to go out and help him campaign, and so it was preventing him from doing stuff like that. And
I see.
And it was really just so that way Peckinpah could have a power trip.
Yeah.
Ernest Borgnine, who really liked Peckinpah, promised to beat the shit out of him if he didn't allow him some really, because apparently the dust and the dirt was the worst part of shooting this.
Oh, I'm sure.
Apparently it was really, really hard on everybody, killing their throats and stuff.
Seeing all of that dust and dirt, it reminded me of Burning Man. And like all of these people, when you're at Burning Man, you have to cover up your mouth.
Yeah.
You have to like make sure that you're not breathing it in because it's so fine, and it gets into your lungs. So I can only imagine what they all went through.
Yeah. The editor, as he was going through the footage, noticed that William Holden his character sort of like evolved over time, and he realized that the more he had been on set, the more he was running the crew in the film the way Sam Peckinpah was running the crew in real life. He was sort of starting to mimic and model the character after.
Ha-ha.
So Pike is
Yep.
sort of modeled that way.
Interesting.
Yeah. Peckinpah knew that one of the actors was afraid of horses, so they gave him the tallest horse, and they made him mount the horse while facing downhill.
The person who was afraid of horses?
Yeah.
That's so evil.
Yeah. And then I don't know if you noticed at the very beginning of the movie, they show the credits. And so, it's like William Holden, and it's like a freeze frame of him with his name. And then it's like Ernest Borgnine, freeze frame of him. And then it comes to Robert Ryan. And it's, he got so tired of Robert Ryan like demanding top billing that for his title card, it was just a bunch of the backsides of horses. So I was done very intentionally to,
wow.
So that's sort of so going into what we're about to talk about and what this film is about, sort of understanding the arduousness of making this movie, I thought was important in sort of understanding who Sam Peckinpah was as a director. But let's hear your notes.
Let's hear my notes. So at the beginning, it starts off with these kids laughing and giggling at fire ants killing and attacking scorpions.
Well, they're intentionally pushing the scorpions into the fire ants.
I know.
Yeah.
And they think it's funny.
Oh yeah. And I specifically in my notes wrote children being cruel, which is important.
What did I say? I said these kids are fucking sadists. Because then, like, shortly thereafter, they take some like very flammable dry sticks and then set all of them on fire.
Oh yeah. And so thematically, I think it's important for the film, for the end of the film, but also, that wasn't in the script, and they decided to add that scene or that moment. And it was the guy who played, what's his name? The bad guy. Mapaka?
Yeah.
That actor told a story about how that's what they used to do when they were kids. And that's
Mapache.
Mapache? I don't think it was Mapache, was it? I think that's how it's spelled, but I think it was like
Mapache?
Yeah, Mapache, maybe.
Okay.
I don't know. Anyways, what was the actor's name?
Emilio Fernandez.
Yes. So knowing that that's what this actor, when he was younger, did, we're going to talk about that actor as we get closer to the end.
Okay.
But yeah, knowing that story is, I think, good context for what we're going to talk about later.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I found it strange that, like, after the big shootout at the beginning of the film, the people that, what's his name? That guy that Thornton had hired were rejoicing at all the dead bodies.
They were so excited to, like, kill people.
Yeah. And then taking their boots and, like, I got this gun, and, like it was a game. And what did I say? I don't know. They're just all sadists.
Yeah. Well, and again, the cruelty is, I think, part of the point. And again, we'll come back to those guys at the end of the movie. But
yeah.
But yeah, no, they took a lot of joy and being excited. Like, you could, before they even shot anyone, one guy's like, oh, I can get him right now. And they're like, no, don't do it. Not yet. They were just eager to, they obviously were getting money for each person that they killed, that they claimed that they could claim they killed. They were also, looting the bodies, but there was something beyond getting paid for those guys.
Yeah.
They were not good guys.
Yeah.
The bounty hunters, they referred to.
Something that I noticed about the children throughout.
Yeah.
The indigenous children were the most joyful.
Sure.
They actually, like, and not maniacal joy. Like,
yeah, they
were actually really happy and loving. But the white children and the Mexican children, it's as if they, what did I say? The children, they use children in an interesting way, as if innocence didn't exist.
Yeah. Well, there is something interesting in the difference of the cultures. Not just the bad guys that we see, but even Angel's family, his village.
Yeah.
They are, like, living sort of like their true lives, their true selves.
Yes.
And what we see from the white people at the very beginning is that they're sort of, like, caught up in the bureaucracy of things and sort of, like, trying to tell each other what to do and what they should do, and teachers unions, and I mean, which are good.
Union.
I mean, it's all not bad stuff. It's just they're so caught up in, like, what they deem as civilization, that there is some sort of, like, lack of joy there. I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think it's a good point.
Their idea of civilization isn't civilized at all.
Well, it tries to be. That ends up very uncivilized here shortly.
Yeah. Oh, another thing that I noticed, the people in power, whomever is more powerful in a group, are shot from below.
Yes.
So that they seem
traditional.
Yeah, more powerful and up high, and anyone who is lesser than is shot from above, so that they look
small,
diminutive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You see a lot of really, I think probably the best directors today still do that. David Fincher is a really great example of somebody who does that. If you watch, like, the movie Seven, if you watch, Clint Eastwood is another director who's, obviously a lot of practice with Westerns. Unforgiven's a great example of, check out the Unforgiven episode of Do the Right Thing.
Yeah.
So Unforgiven, utilizes the height quite a bit in the film.
Yeah. Wow. I made more comments about, like, themes than actual.
Did you have any notes about the robbery at the beginning?
No.
So Premiere Magazine did the top 100 lines of all time, and the line, "If they move, kill them," was voted number 72. Again, think about how that hadn't been a thing.
Okay. I'm just staring and blinking at Wes.
like you've heard it a million times now, right?
Yeah.
It's because of this movie.
Wow.
Yeah. So like, it's sort of like recognizing, you know, the things that have come before.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there are some, you know, obviously there's some better lines, you know, we're going to need a bigger boat, or, you know, that are just a little bit less generic, but so many people have imitated this, you know, over and over and over again. And that's a, you know, sort of like the Bonnie and Clyde one, you know, there was like a famous line about, I don't remember what it was now. We just talked about it. It's like I don't have enough room in my brain to keep everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's like, you know, these lines that are sort of innocuous in some ways to us now, because they've been so used over the last 40 or 50 years,
right,
that we're just like, oh yeah, that's a cheesy cliche line, but it's cheesy cliche because the Wild Bunch did it first, you know?
Wow.
So and it's used in a scene that's like, one, it explains exactly who these guys are and what they're willing to do, and it sort of like sets the expectation for what the rest of this film is. Yeah. Which is incredibly violent. I mean, so many innocent people die in this opening scene, the shootout scene, outside the failed robbery.
Yes.
Another peck and pause a dick moment.
Oh, yeah.
Was in this scene. The woman who played the school teacher that was being held hostage. Yeah. Was actually a school teacher, and he was not pleased with her reactions. So the sticking of the tongue in the ear was a director's direction to the actor to get what he wanted out of the school teacher.
Oh, you mean without her permission?
Yeah.
What a dick.
Yeah. So
I think there were...
What an era of filmmaking.
I recalled that and was like, I'll bet. At one point, I wrote something about how I'm sure there was no intimacy coordinator.
There was no such thing as an intimacy coordinator.
Nope. The amount of things that happened that the men did to the women, I was like, I'm pretty sure there was no asking. Oh, is it okay if I do this?
Yeah, you're probably especially thinking of one really specific scene, I bet.
Probably.
Yeah. Let's keep going with your notes.
Oh, okay.
And we'll see where we end up.
When we get to Mexico, there are these female fighters who are just breastfeeding.
Oh,
with,
sure.
I don't know the actual phrase of what this is, but I called it a bullet holder.
A bandolero, I think.
Bandolero, the thing with all the bullets. Yeah, just a bunch of women with bandoleros, and they're breastfeeding their child, just like right there.
Yeah.
Like, and not to say like, oh no, don't show your breasts, but the fact that it seemed as though they were ready to fight.
Oh,
like
yeah.
They could be ready to fight at any moment.
Yeah.
And like, whatever, the kid's here, let's just fight with our kid.
You gotta feed your kid too.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the least offensive thing in the movie.
Oh, yeah. I was not offended. I was just more surprised. Because there were women that were fighting. Yeah. Whereas when we were in Texas, the women were like, oh, no. Protect me.
Yeah. Just running for their lives.
Yeah. Had like nary a gun in sight on them.
Oh, yeah, no.
Whereas in Mexico, like they were all stocked and ready to go.
Yeah.
Stocked and ready to go?
I know what you mean.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. In my mind, I had this set in like the 1800s.
Oh, sure.
And so when I suddenly saw a car...
You're like, what?
I was like, what time are we?
Yeah.
Where is this? I wrote, whoa, a car. But also was not intrigued, but like excited by the fact that they said it runs on alcohol or gasoline.
Yeah. And he asked if it was steam powered.
Right.
Yeah.
And I circled alcohol because I recently learned that was one of the reasons for prohibition, was because alcohol was cleaner and less expensive, but then the oil companies weren't making money. And so they're like, let's just make it illegal so that people will stop using homemade alcohol.
It's like the marijuana thing. Where they wanted to use marijuana, like cannabis paper.
Hemp.
Yeah, hemp.
Yeah.
Fucking Hearst.
Fucking Hearst. I know. I try and tell that to Jeff, and he's like, I don't know if that's true. I'm like, it's fucking true. Okay.
It's real.
Pardon, I'm swearing a lot today.
Sailor.
Yeah, it's okay. This line jumped out at me, so I had to write it down. When Ernest Borgnine's character says, "We don't hang nobody," as if how they kill people is not as bad as how the general kills people.
Yeah, well, it's like, I think they see it as more humane or something, right? It's not embarrassing, and you're not dangling with your feet kicking.
Yeah, almost like they're not doing it as much of a sport as the general was.
They're not doing it as a display.
Yeah, they're doing it like to protect themselves, or
like because it needs to be done, not because I want to do it.
Yeah, the general really liked to bring someone down as far as possible.
The history of hanging, has a lot of connotation of it being a spectator event.
It still blows my mind.
Yeah, I mean, I think generally speaking, most people who oversaw like public hangings, like on behalf of the law, saw it as a need. This has to be done, but we don't take joy in it. And I think when it's vigilantism, it becomes more of a sport for them, and it becomes a joyful thing. So when you think of like lynchings and things, I think there's a view even amongst the ne'er-do-wells that hanging is sort of a gross thing.
Yeah. Okay.
There's a code. It's a code for everyone, right?
There's a code for everyone. And then I went, whoa. He killed his love.
Oh, yeah. He shot that woman.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I have to wonder, because, she is talking about how she's so much happier with the general, and in Spanish, she's saying this to him, and he's definitely been slighted by this.
Yeah.
I don't believe her when she says she's happier. I think she's just saying it because the general is standing right behind her.
I agree that I don't think she's happier.
Yeah.
I think she wants to be there. I don't think she was taken against her will.
Right.
We kind of learned that from the scene when they're talking to the people in his village.
Mm-hmm.
I think he not just kills her, not just because he feels slighted, but also her betrayal is too much. Her betrayal to their people, her betrayal to him.
Yeah.
It's just like, a bridge too far.
Yeah.
So, not that it justifies it. I'm just saying, it's interesting. We say that a lot. It's interesting.
It's interesting. Because it is.
Yeah.
It's interesting to us.
We just need
our brains.
Find some synonyms. Fascinating.
Intriguing.
Yeah.
Then I write, a German in Mexico? Nazis?
Yeah, I mean,
it wasn't too far off.
Well, so this idea that Germany might be trying to destabilize things on this side of the world is not crazy.
It's not crazy. Especially since after the war, a lot of Nazis went to Argentina.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, and this is being a sort of a precursor, or like the beginning stages of, it would have been the beginning stages of World War One, right? So yeah, makes a lot of sense.
Yes. Also, can we talk about that German man's mustache?
Sure. Go ahead.
Like, it For a moment, I thought it was a fake mustache and they put it on upside down. But this, it like curls up. It was a real mustache.
I believe William Holden's was fake, so it might have been.
Oh.
Yeah, William Holden didn't want to have a mustache, and he fought with Peckinpah over it, and Peckinpah won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It worked. He has such an innocent face without the mustache.
I thought he looked like a cowboy vigilante Walt Disney.
That's not bad. Oh, I really loved William Holden's mustache.
Yeah.
So,
Fake.
But that German stash, people, you got to watch this movie just for the German stash. It was so bizarre.
Yeah.
Oh,
It didn't strike me as weird, but I'm all right knowing that you thought it was strange.
Oh.
Yes.
The next thing I write is about the wine barrel.
Okay, so we've made it there. So this is what I was thinking you were talking about when you were saying they probably didn't ask permission with the women. So they're like taking their tops off and pulling their boobs out and stuff.
That is when I write, highly doubt there was an intimacy coordinator in sight.
Yeah. So again, going back to Sam Peckinpah's like not a good guy.
Nope.
He had an idea that he wanted to stick it to Warner Brothers. So he went to a nearby brothel and hired some women of the night. We'll call sex. We're just gonna say sex worker because that's the proper term now. It's not the terms they used then, so I'm not going to use their terms. So he hired some sex workers to do that scene. So they kind of asked permission, I guess, in a way. What his goal was he really wanted Warner Brothers to have paid for sex workers to be in a film.
I thought, wow, it was like multiple in my brain.
Yeah.
He was like sticking it to Warner Brothers in two different ways.
Sure.
Maybe three.
Okay.
So he hired sex workers.
Yeah.
They shot out a large barrel, and the Warner Brothers is like a water.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I didn't think
a water
tower.
Thank you. Water tower. And then they were in
it. Yeah. No, that might be part of that intent, part of the intent. But yeah, he wanted Warner Brothers to have paid for it. So he wanted their money to have paid for it.
What an asshole.
He really was. He really was.
Okay. Yeah, they punch holes in the wine barrel and then they dance under the wine. I just hated the let me see your TTs.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something really like
juvenile?
Not just juvenile, but like there's a side of men, and it's real. This is the whole like the bear or the man situation, where their brains, and this happens to every man at some point in their life, not necessarily in this scenario. Could be all sorts of scenarios. It could be playing sport. It could be, doing lots of things. And unfortunately for a lot of men, it's around women when they feel like they have free reign to, in this case, they paid women to like do what they want to them. So they feel like they have all the power and they have like free reign to do whatever it is they want. And it's just like, it's so like vulgar and, weird and gross and yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
You see people treat, strippers and stuff, this way because their brains shut off and they think that they can't because they paid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is astonishing.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Oh, that's adorable.
Hiccup. The next where I jump to is the train.
Okay, great.
The soldiers that are actually on the train are so unorganized.
When they're all young and
yeah,
it's like kids, like teenagers.
Yeah. And it shows this innocence in a different way.
Yeah.
Because it looked like those boys had no idea what they were doing.
Correct.
Which then it plays out and they had no idea what they were doing.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed them like watching the wild bunch take over the train.
Yeah.
And like shh, let's go do this. Oh, scoot the train back just a little bit.
Yeah.
And I love how that guy, Thornton.
Yeah.
Was just like, what's happening to the train? Oh, we're just stopping for, what were they stopping for? Water?
Yeah.
For the train.
Yeah, for the train.
Steam engine.
Steam engines.
Wow. I just connected.
Yeah, they got to stop every so often at these little stops.
I've never understood why there were those watering towers near trains. Now I understand.
Have you ever been on the train at Disneyland?
No.
Also steam engine, and it stops for water at 2 stops.
Way.
Yeah.
I've been to Disneyland like 3 times as an adult.
Yeah, Walt Disney was a huge train guy.
Yes, he was. Yeah. I do know that. Yeah. He was very adamant about having the train.
Yep.
Wow.
He had a train in his backyard.
He had a train in his backyard?
A little tiny train.
Oh, cute.
But you could sit on it and ride it around. It was called the Carolwood Pacific because it lived on Carolwood.
Aww.
In Hollywood. Yeah.
That's cute.
Yeah, and he had a big barn that he like worked on the trains and stuff in the backyard. They used the barn in some movies. And it was going to be just torn down when somebody bought the house. And so they preserved it. They moved this big barn, and it is near the LA Zoo now. And I think it's like the first Sunday of every month you can go and visit it for free or suggested donations.
Is it over by where the train thing
So
is?
Travel Town?
Yeah.
Yeah. So pieces, so you can ride that Travel Town train, same size train that Disney had, and pieces of the track that you ride on at Travel Town are Walt Disney's actual track.
That is wild.
Yeah.
I think that place is adorable. I've only been to like just walk in and see what's going on.
You should ride the train.
Okay.
So you can be like, I rode on the same tracks that Walt Disney rode on.
I'll bring Jeff. Okay. The soldiers on the train are unorganized and made to look like fools.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah. Oh. Do you have anything more that you want to say about the whole train?
I have the bridge.
That's the next thing I go to.
Yeah. I mean, I like the whole train sequence. I like watching a plan in motion.
Yeah.
And I like when, the protagonists, you get to see them be smart.
Mm-hmm.
So I really enjoyed all of that stuff. I like that they sent the train backwards.
Yes.
Which I thought was, you would think that they would just send it straight down ahead, but instead they sent it backwards back at them, which is.
But also the horses.
The horses. I know you were writing a lot about horses.
Oh my gosh.
The horses went through it in this movie.
What is who is concerned about the animals?
Well, the Humane
Not just PETA. Humane Society.
Yeah, they're the ones who now oversee this stuff.
I think I wrote that this movie is the reason why
yeah, pretty much.
they care about, or why they're so adamant about the care of animals, because holy shit.
I don't have any notes about whether or not any animals died on this, but it feels like they must have.
It feels like it.
Yeah.
I think it was right after, I don't know, when they're riding their horses and they go into the water.
Yeah.
I was thinking like it would go maybe up to the halfway point of these horses' legs, and they are in it.
Yeah.
Like their heads are trying to get through. That was, I was not even remotely expecting them to just like seahorses. Yes. River horses.
Yeah. Well, that's a hippopotamus. River horse.
No way.
Yeah.
Wait, is that what hippopotamus stands for?
Mm-hmm.
Shut up. That's awesome. River horse? I just blew my mind a little bit. Okay, the next thing I get to is the bridge explodes and all the horses fall! 3 exclamation marks.
Yeah.
And then they float down the river. Jesus.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
And watching all of those horses fall
You're just like, oh my God, are they going to survive?
Right.
Yeah. So they, that was the last scene they shot for good reason.
Yeah.
They paid 5 stuntmen $2,000 each.
Good.
They used 6 cameras. It was shot in one take.
Wow.
One of the cameras fell in the river and was lost.
No.
So they had a special effects technician. His name was Bud Holberd, but he was not an explosives expert. He was using between 50 and sticks of dynamite.
How? What? Between 50 and 60 sticks of dynamite?
Mm-hmm.
That's insane.
One of the stuntmen, his name was Joe Canut. He was worried that the guys on horseback would be hurt or killed.
Yeah.
If they went in the water too early before the final charge was set off. The Holberd, the tech, was basically ignoring his warnings. So,
wow.
Without telling Sam Peckinpah, or the technician Holberd, Canut enlisted this guy named Gordon T. Dawson, who's in charge of costume and wardrobe.
Mm-hmm.
And he told him to stand behind Holberd with a club behind his back. And his instructions were, if anyone goes into the water before Holberd blows the right charge, hit him over the head with the club and knock him out before he can set off the last explosive. Yeah. So
what?
To make sure that he didn't set it off at the wrong time and injure somebody, everything had to be done exactly at the right time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, anyways, it went as planned.
Yeah.
So nobody got hit in the head. So nobody got clubbed.
Good.
But yeah, so.
What a bizarre.
Scary.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
No, I agree.
Ugh. That's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
I jump ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's a child just casually walking with the general during active firing.
Oh, like the kid that delivers the message?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like, la, la, la. Things blowing up,
Yeah.
getting shot at. The general is like out in the open, which didn't make sense to me because why would the most powerful
He was nuts.
He was nuts.
Yeah, that's the answer. He was nuts.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Because then he gets the machine gun.
Yeah.
And I wrote, give an idiot a machine gun and he'll blow the place to smithereens.
Absolutely.
Like the German guy is like, you need a tripod. He's like, no, shooting at like everybody. He was a menace.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a fun scene to watch.
Oh my God. It was very interesting to watch.
Yeah.
But what an idiot. When Ernest, I need to call them by their names. When Dutch picks up, when he delivers the second bundle of guns and ammo, he never checked the money bag.
No.
Now, Pike did.
Yeah.
Because, of course, when they robbed the place at the very beginning.
We're talking about the last group to go to get the money.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought you were saying the second one. Yeah.
Correct. Right. So first Pike comes and says, this is where we've buried all of the guns and ammo.
And then the brothers, the Gorches.
Right.
And then Dutch and Angel.
Oh, you're right. I completely forgot about I forgot about the other dudes. The Gorches. You're right. I just found it weird that after they had gone through such a ridiculous ordeal with robbing the first place and then they open the bags and it's just washers.
Yeah. So there's actually a good reason behind that. He sent Dutch last.
Yes.
And Angel for a reason. Because he knows the situation with Angel is the most precarious.
Right.
He knows that if they're going to get betrayed, it's probably not knowing that the first one went off okay. Mm-hmm. The middle one is probably not going to be problematic.
Right.
but the last one is. And I think Dutch wants to get out of there. So that's one of the reason why it's Dutch is because he trusts Dutch the most. Right. The reason Dutch doesn't check it, I think, is because he just wants to get the fuck out. Gotcha. The fact that they don't toss they toss one to Dutch and they don't toss the other to Angel is also another indicator that Dutch knows something's about to go south. Yeah. So I think it's just like, let's get the F out and try and survive.
Well, because they said they made the excuse that one of the boxes they lost. Yeah. And we know that went to Angel's town?
Yeah.
Village, thank you.
It's Pueblo.
Yes. And someone else says, I saw. Like, they saw that it wasn't true, that they didn't lose one of the boxes. And that's when Angel gets...
Well, he tells them that the mother of the woman he killed from his village ratted him out. Oh. That's how they knew. Yeah. So had he not killed the woman, then that wouldn't have happened.
So he shot himself in the foot.
Yeah. So to speak.
Yeah. Yep. And then they just torture him.
Yeah. Drag him behind the car. The crazy is when the kids start riding him.
Yeah.
As he's being dragged around. That's crazy.
It really...
Yeah. It's unsettling and it's sad and...
Yes.
It's upsetting for sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Also, did they have a real human just being dragged behind this car?
Yeah, they used to do stuff like that all the time. They used to have like, you know...
Like, I hope it was a stunt double and not that guy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I would guess it was a stunt double, but I don't know. I mean, even Indiana Jones gets dragged behind a vehicle in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yes, but it doesn't look that.
That's true.
It doesn't look like that.
That's true.
They made it look really...
Yeah.
They made it look... I don't know what it looks like for a person to be dragged behind a car, but they made it look more realistic than I would have.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going super fast.
Yeah.
They probably have him laying on something, or at least padding and stuff under his clothes.
Yeah.
You know, they have him... belly down, I think, which is easier and less dangerous to do than if he's on his back. Because if he's on his back, then his head is touching the ground. So this way, his head is on his arms, up off the ground.
Yeah,
and it's not as strenuous either. So, and it's probably a lot easier to hide in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
something underneath them. So I'm sure.
That's true. Okay.
I'm sure it may or may not have been a stunt person. I don't know that, but it's probably, you know, there probably some precautions there.
Yes. Yeah. Like, I'm so worried about these people from over 50 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, they used to do crazier stuff too, and they used to have people dragged behind horses and stuff like that in movies. But you know, I think back to like, Harold Lloyd, who was climbing buildings in Los Angeles without any wires or netting and like hanging off of like clock hands and stuff, and like
the real person?
1800s. Yeah, silent film star Harold Lloyd did a really great movie called Safety Last, and if you've ever seen black and white silent film footage of a guy hanging onto that's Harold Lloyd from Safety Last. You know, these guys used to do like weird stuff with gears, and Buster Keaton, and like the house is falling with where the window just happens to be right where they're standing beneath the front of the house, you know, stuff like that. Yeah, that's all real, you know, plotting with math and, you know, and then, but doing these things like, you know, a moving car and getting out of it and then like going in front of it and climbing over it and then getting back in the driver's seat, you know, they used to do stuff like that. So, so this doesn't seem that crazy to me.
Okay.
Just to put your mind at ease.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The Harold Lloyd stuff's crazy.
I want to
know that. Netting.
Oh my gosh. I feel like they emulated that in Back to the Future.
Yeah, I mean, he hangs off the yeah, there's definitely, but so a few things with
like
Back
it was
to the Future.
An homage to.
Probably, yeah. Huh. Because that Doc Brown is very much a character out of a silent film.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So.
Amazing. When they said they were going to, when Pike says, let's bury the gold, only take one sack with us.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, is this going to be like the Sierra Madre? I can't remember the full name of that movie, but it was like something in the Sierra Madre.
Yeah.
With Bogey.
Oh yeah, it's
And, like,
Sierra Madre.
Yes.
Yeah.
And isn't that the one where
Bogey and Bacall, I think.
they've buried the gold and
Oh no, that's African Queen of the.
yeah, that's the different movie. Like where they bury gold and like his friend starts to lose his mind because he thinks that the other one is
It's in our bucket.
It's in our bucket.
Yeah.
Great. I actually really like that one.
Yeah, yeah.
Not like I wouldn't, but
Yeah.
I was wondering if someone was going to develop a jealousy and then like go back and try and dig up the gold.
The question I have is, does Sykes know where they would have buried the gold? Because Sykes is the only one left alive, right? So no one knows where the gold is. Is the gold lost forever?
Yeah.
So maybe Sykes would know. I don't know.
And Sykes was the older gentleman who let his grandson essentially get murdered at this first shebang.
Yeah.
Huh.
The one who licks the lady's ear.
Yeah, gross. Blah, blah. Don't do that. Don't do that, people.
Get consent.
Yes. Consent is great. My next note is after the melee. So
Sure. Yeah, no, go ahead and just...
Okay, great. After the melee, I said the other bad guys, which means what's his toes? Thornton's gang.
Yeah.
Say it's like a picnic with all of the dead bodies, and they are grabbing the hats and the shoes and the guns. And I said, that group are the human form of buzzards.
Yes. 100%. I have that note too.
Nice.
This also kind of like ties back to the children at the beginning, right? With the sacrificing the bugs and sort of the cruelty of that. And, you know, these guys are so weirdly childlike in their joy of seeing all these bodies. And
or maybe they never grew up.
Yeah.
They started out as those kids and just remained those kids with that same mentality.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, it's just a game.
Yeah.
These humans have no value.
Yeah.
The ones that senselessly died.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then the ending with like the little, I said montage, but that's not what I actually mean. But the cut-ins of the different characters laughing, it gave it such a weird, uncomfortable feeling because there's just been all of this death and despair and craziness, and look at all that fun we had.
Yeah. This weird like memory of joy.
Yeah, this is an interesting juxtaposition.
Well, and there's a thing throughout the film that's this battle between Thornton and Pike, which is not full of animosity like it could be, but it's sort of like they sort of understand each other and where they're coming from, and it's reminiscent of, you know, a real life situation that actually Sam Peckinpah did another movie, which is Billy the Kid and Pat Garrett, who were both outlaws together. Pat Garrett turns marshal and hunts down Billy the Kid.
Yep.
Which is a real thing. And so I think there's some like symbolism in that, and that's also viewed as sort of like these people that found joy in brotherhood and the things that they did together, even though they did bad things. So I think it's just kind of reminiscent of that.
Yeah.
But yeah. Was that the rest of your notes?
That was it.
So a couple things. By the time they finished wrapping this film, they had shot 333,000 feet of film.
Wow.
With 1,288 camera setups.
No wonder it took like 90 days.
Yeah, 3 months isn't crazy for a film, but that's a lot of setups. It's a lot of setups. I mean, if you're using 6 cameras at a time, maybe it doesn't seem so bad, but it's still a lot. It's still a lot of setups. You know, as an actress, like it just takes a long time to get things ready. There are some shoots where you shoot, you know, 1 shot a day, you know, if it's complicated. So
a 5-minute scene takes at least 4 hours.
Yeah. I'm going to come back to the setups and sort of how much footage they shot in a second, but I wanted to talk about the guy that played Mapache, whatever you say his name.
Yeah, tell me about this guy.
He apparently it's Emilio Fernandez, right? That we said his name was?
Yes.
Yeah. When he would show up in bars, he often showed up with 14-year-old girls.
No. Gross.
He was drunk most of the time and always carried 2 guns on his belt. And it made him he had like besides just doing inappropriate things like that, he was just offensive just in general and made everybody uncomfortable around him. And he directed a film in Mexico once and got into an argument with 2 of the producers, and he shot and killed them both.
Yeah, I was preparing myself for that one.
Yeah.
Wow.
So when we talk about the idea of the scorpions and the fire ants coming from him, we sort of have some context to that.
And like, did he do that with his friends or did he do that alone?
Oh, I don't know, man.
It might have been alone.
Yeah.
Wow. I was really hoping like maybe he was just acting like an asshole for the show. Like he was one of those asshole, what's that thing? Method, like a method actor who was just trying to be like that, but he was actually that person.
Yeah.
Gross. That sucks.
The original release of this had 3,643 editorial cuts in the film. So if you notice, like, especially the beginning, that first shootout, it's just like cut, and back and forth to things.
Yeah.
This is
very manic and like
very Hitchcockian.
Yes.
If you exclude the start and end credits, film contains about 2,721 edits in the form that it ended up in.
Yeah.
It's 138 minutes of action. It equates to an average shot length of 3 seconds. The shootout at Bloody Porch, which I believe is the beginning, contains 325 edits in 5 minutes of action for an average shot length of slightly under 1 second. So that's awesome. That's very Baz Luhrmann too. Like he, very, very inspired by that editing style.
Interesting.
Warner Brothers previewed the film for some people. The audience reactions. You want to guess what the audience reactions were?
Disdain?
They were referred to as negative and hostile. Some of the comments were, do not release this film. The whole thing is sick. Another person said it's the worst potpourri of vulgarity, violence, sex, and bloodshed I've seen put together.
Wow.
So they asked Sam Peckinpah to cut the film more. He agreed, but only to one print to be run in one theater. And the rest of the theaters would show his regular cut. So the studio ended up having the editor cut the required scenes and release all the prints that way. And Sam Peckinpah and Feldman, who had worked together many, many times, never spoke again because of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was super controversial when it came out for obvious reasons. There were reviews where there were documented cases of people vomiting in the aisles.
What?
People had never seen stuff like this.
Okay.
It was visceral and violent. Like, I mean, think about like when people saw motion picture for the first time and like people thought trains were coming at them out of the screen, and they were stampeding out of the theaters because they thought they were going to get run over by trains. So,
oh my gosh.
People, when they see something crazy, crazy innovative for the first time, and it's this,
I have to think like we have seen so much more violence than what this is.
Oh yeah, we're desensitized to it.
Which is why there are certain shows that I will put a pillow up in front of my face.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to get used to that.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't want to be desensitized to that sort of.
It's fair to not want
like
that.
when it's super violent. I just unless it's the League of Ungentlemanly Warfare.
And then it's like
they get a pass.
at that point.
Yeah.
And it's hot dudes doing hot things. So this movie, along with movies like Bonnie and Clyde, and some horror films, like Dawn of the Dead, credited with being, significant for their roles in violence in cinema, and sort of helping establish the limits of the post-production code.
Yeah.
Hollywood, after that's what it was called, the production code. So post-production code, sort of like how we shape the rating system. It helped redefine the Western genre, which became significantly more violent. You see that with movies like High Plains Drifter, Unforgiven, definitely some Clint Eastwood, and spaghetti westerns and things,
right,
of the 70s. And it sort of demystified the cowboy genre. John Wayne said this was like the death of westerns, because it again changed them from heroes to villains, basically. I mean, nobody was good in this film. Nobody was a good guy. Railroad people weren't good. The Mexican army people weren't good. The vigilantes, even our heroes weren't really heroes. They were doing bad things.
I don't know. The people in Angel's Village were good.
At the end of the film, they're vigilantes. They're
one person
with them, but it's sort of implied, I think, that the rest of those people are people from the village. Like, they have the weapons now, right? So,
so they lost their innocence.
Oh, for sure.
Shit,
when their village was raided, they lost their innocence. When your village is raided and the women are breastfeeding with bandoleros on, you've lost your innocence.
Those were
it was the same village. When they show up and they're like, oh, these people are starving, they got to feed their dogs and stuff. Yeah, that's angels. And they're like, why is my village decimated?
Oh,
yeah.
I did not put two and two together that Angel's Village and then the
people
women
they're celebrating with.
Yeah. Oh,
that's why, like, when they're talking to them and they're like, they refer to his old girlfriend as, I think they refer to her as a whore.
Yeah.
It's because it's all the same village. It's all the same people.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They lost their innocence from. Yeah.
I see. Show.
Let's see here. Oh, I have a wardrobe note for you.
Oh.
Which I think you'll be kind of blown away by. So they had a lot of extras playing Mexican soldiers. They dressed them appropriately. They had 350 uniforms. And they get shot and blown up over and over again.
Wow.
And bloodstained. Pretty much after every take. So his team worked round the clock to clean and repair them. It's because they had 350 uniforms. They clothed 6,000 men with those 350 uniforms.
Oh my God.
Yeah. By just repairing them, cleaning them, putting new guys in them for the next scene.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
I wonder how big the costuming crew had to have been.
Yeah.
Enormous.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. And if it weren't, I feel so sorry for them. That's a lot of work.
It really is. It really is.
Because I wonder what they even used for the blood, because it was like thick. It was like ketchup.
Yeah, that was really common to that era. You see stuff like that in like The Godfather and some other westerns. I don't know.
Yeah.
They used something similar to like Bonnie and Clyde, where they so in Bonnie and Clyde they used like plugs or whatever. They would cover up with makeup, and then they would pull a wire and it would reveal the bloody makeup underneath.
Yeah.
They did something really similar here, where they had like tape. They would pull the tape off and it would reveal the bullet wounds or whatever, the blood and stuff. So I think that's some piece of that. Also, I think some piece of it is like the Technicolor, and just sort of the vibrancy of that, and it makes it look like a little bit more like bright red than blood actually is.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. Wow. So that was the Wild Bunch.
The Wild Bunch.
I didn't ask you the question at the beginning. Did you enjoy this movie?
I did.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I sent my dad a text like right after. I'm like, "Have you seen the Wild Bunch?" I don't recall. I was like, "You should."
Yeah.
It's.
But doesn't it feel like the kind of movie that like every grandpa in America has probably seen?
Yes.
Like one of their favorite movies or something.
Yeah.
It's like this and Bridge on the River Kwai,
Yes. I mean, I knew nothing about this movie going into it, and I remember being so excited. All I did was I IMDb'd it right before we watched. I was like, William Holden and Ernest Borgnine? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm set. That sounds great. Because I'm a big fan of William Holden because he's in one of my favorite movies.
Which is?
Born Yesterday.
I don't know if I know Born Yesterday. Put it in the bucket.
Oh my gosh, we need to put it in the bucket. It has...
Let me go get the bucket while you're talking.
Okay. Because Born Yesterday,
Uh-huh.
wasn't he in Born Yesterday? I'm starting to get concerned that I was talking about the wrong person. And I'm scrolling, and I know he was... Oh, there we go. Because he was also in Sunset Boulevard.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Check out the Sunset Boulevard episode.
Yeah.
Do the Right Thing. One of my favorite... I had never seen Sunset Boulevard until we did this podcast.
Oh my gosh.
It's one of the earlier movies we did, and it was one of the few, there's a lot of examples, but one of my favorite examples of a movie that I had avoided my entire life. And I was worried I was going to be like bored by it or whatever.
No.
I was like, it's not going to be my kind of movie. And I was like blown away. Mm-hmm. There's two movies I can immediately think of that were like that. The other is from our first episode. Sophie's Choice was another one I avoided my entire life. I was like, I have no interest in this. I know roughly what Sophie's Choice is, so I don't care. And I was like, I'm going to be bored by it. Mm-hmm. And I ended up loving the movie. And it was our first episode. And I was like, this is why we're doing this show.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And Sunset Boulevard was very much similar. Mm-hmm. Double Indemnity was another one.
Oh, yes.
Where I'd never seen it. And then we did this thing. We pulled it out of the bucket. And here we are.
Amazing. Yeah, we should add Born Yesterday into this bucket.
Okay.
Judy Holliday stars in it.
Okay.
And it was so different to see William Holden play a hard character.
Yeah.
Like gruff. And now that I know that the director was a total dick to him, I get why it grew.
Yeah.
His gruffness and his hardness, because he was so kind and gentle in Sunset Boulevard and in Born Yesterday, which is fantastic.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll add it.
Okay.
I'm into it.
Great.
All right. Our next movie is... Oh, by the way, this is our spooky bucket.
Spooky bucket.
Next movie is...
Spooky.
Critters.
Critters.
Yes.
I've never seen it.
Oh, good. Don't read. Don't learn anything about it.
Okay.
It's fun.
It's
fun and it's silly. No,
okay.
No. It's I'm trying to think of a movie. I don't want to give too much away. Okay. It's going to be more in the vein of a Gremlins.
Oh, great.
But leaning more into maybe the horror or a more adult, like less family friendly.
Okay.
It's like kind of bad, but really fun and silly and
campy.
Yeah, for sure.
Great.
Yeah. You're gonna be fine.
Awesome.
You're gonna be fine. Yeah. So that's exciting.
Awesome.
Yeah. So people. Yeah. So it'll be the first of our spooky season. So
amazing.
Yeah. Any last thoughts?
Nope.
Who would you not recommend this movie to? Children.
The children.
Yeah. Other than children, anyone? Little old ladies.
Religious people.
Oh, okay.
People who are super religious. Okay. They will be offended.
Okay. Yeah.
I feel like there's a mocking of religion a little bit in this movie.
Yeah.
It's not outright. It's not like overt mocking, but
yeah, but you can tell that the bad guys are not fond of, like the heroes are, quote unquote heroes, are not fond of religion.
Right.
Like there's a little bit of a side eyeing when they're taking the woman out.
yes. And the people who, like the bad guys, like hide behind their religion.
Sure. Yeah. As most bad guys do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. On that wonderful note, until next time, everyone, Bon Sinoa.